Laughing out loud, your mother was a whore. Who's got the lowest self-esteem, you or your mother? Your mother was so cheap, how much is it for you? You look like a slut. These are messages directed at my daughter through social media starting 1 year ago. At that time, she was only 13 years old. That situation made me think a lot about the situation of me going out public with my story. Was it worth it? Could I live with the bullying against her? Was it fair that things that happened before she was born could be used against her? And what would happen to a young teenage girl when she was being bullied about such a topic? Would it strengthen her respect for me? Or would it cause anger that the mother was letting the whole world know about it? Often the debate about prostitution is centered on whether prostitution is a free choice or not, or centered on the language, whether it's prostitution or sex work. But what happens with the people who have been in prostitution when they leave prostitution? What about their lives when they don't need help to leave prostitution, but still have that inner fight with the demons from prostitution? Only a few understands how damaged you are when you realize that the stories you told yourself when you were in the middle of it are not true. It's not a job. It's not liberating. It's not harmless. You didn't control anything of what happened when you were there, and you do not know how damaged you are before you go back to reality, trying to live a normal life with normal relationships, with a mutual and respectful love and sex life. A lot of those who have been in prostitution never manages to live that kind of life because sex has become mechanical, something you have separate from your feelings, and something you do not because of your own lust, but because of others. 3 years ago, I started a network for women in Denmark who have been in prostitution. We're now 50 members, all convinced that a criminalization of the buying of sex is the only way to reduce the demand and make cultural changes. Women with experiences from prostitution are hiding, trying to live normal lives, where they can avoid the blaming, the stigmatization, and the condemnation from the society. But these women are living with the shame because the general attitude is that it's always women's own fault. But as you see, survivors are finally organizing. We're making movements because we won't tolerate to be silenced anymore. To go out there alone is hard. You're being threatened, humiliated, and victimized. You're being called weak, a liar, and lots of words I won't say here today. But it gets personal, and it frightens you. To be in prostitution affects you physically and mentally, but going out public affects you socially. But fighting together is healing. The healing lies in the understanding and the support from women who believe you because they have been there themselves. The threat, the humiliation, the blaming, and the victimization doesn't harm us the same way when we stand together because it's not personal anymore. When people attack a movement, they attack an army, and we are ready to fight the commercialization of women and women's sexuality. Some people say that it's good that people can prostitute themselves because it can be their way out of poverty. Other people say that prostitution is sex work and that it's only the weak that can't handle it. When I think back on my experiences from prostitution, I would rather be poor than suicidal, depressive, and have anxiety. I know that I haven't experienced being as poor as the Eastern European and Nigerian women in the streets in Denmark. But the question is, how do we fight poverty? Because no woman should be in a position where the only way to feed her children is to move away from them and sell sexual services. But it seems that the patriarchy is still alive and ruling. If we truly want to help women out of prostitution, and if we truly want to fight trafficking, we should all criminalize the buyers, because they are the demanders. They are the reason why people are being trafficked. There aren't enough women who want to go into prostitution voluntarily, which is the reason that some people make it a huge business to force people into it, to accommodate the huge demand. Evaluations from Norway and Sweden shows that the Nordic model works. It doesn't mean that these countries have fought prostitution in general, but it means that they are working on it and that they protect women by saying that what these men do when they buy women for sexual pleasure is not okay. And that gives me hope. Hope for people in prostitution, hope for the trafficked, and hope for women in general. While I was in prostitution, I got raped and violated in so many ways, physically, psychologically, and sexually. A man tried to strangle me. Another man followed me to where I lived. A taxi driver molested me because he knew where I was going. A man tried to burn down a brothel while I was still inside. Most of the men tried to cross my boundaries, doing things they weren't allowed to. And still, I think of myself as privileged, because I know that other people in prostitution don't have the strength or the possibility to get out. People who are violated right now, this second, all around the world.